What makes someone who throws things in a pot and sometimes gets it right and sometimes not? What makes a true chef? Well, we can show someone here how to be a great cook, and we'll do it next on Country Life. Country life, country life. How I love to live it, country life farm. The grass is green, the trees are tall. Life is sweet at Country Life Farms. Hello there, welcome to Country Life Kitchen. I am Jerwin Amador, your host. Sometimes you make something delicious. Other times it's not that good or just goes straight in the garbage. What will make you measure up? Why measures? You can make great food if rather than throw some of this and add some of that, but instead follow a recipe. But some people have a correct recipe and somehow it doesn't always come out. What was their problem? Well, believe it or not, they aren't measuring correctly. For example, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Others say 1, 2, 3. Did you see what was done differently? They both used the measuring cups to measure the flour, but the first time they under-measured it, and the second time they over-measured it. They will come out with two different things and sometimes unpalatable. So we're going to teach you how to measure correctly. Everything at Country Life is meant to be measured. Not too little, not too much, but just right. Now, you don't have to use the back of a knife like some people might to make sure everything is measured down perfectly, but you will use the right measuring cup to get the correct measurement. By the way, we do have a couple of things that we use a knife to measure correctly, like cornstarch, but we'll get to that. Here's the correct way to measure flour. So here we have 2 tablespoons, 1/4 cup, a 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, and 1 cup. Filled to the top, not over top, not under measured. We also have the same thing with the larger measure, such as 4 cups to the top measure. We have 8 cups filled to the top measure, not overly, it's 2 quarts. And here we have 16 cups, the same thing as 4 quarts, which is the same as 1 gallon filled to the top at the measuring bar, not overly measured, not underly measured. With liquids, you're not going to under-measure them in a cup, but we're going to properly measure liquids, like this. This is a 1 cup measure, but it's not filled all the way to the top. Therefore, it is underweighed. For liquids, all of our measuring cups are filled to the rim. Anything less is underfilled. The side measures tell us exactly how much is weighed all the way up to the rim, not over, not under, but just right. Now, the same goes for your measuring spoons. Some measure too little, some too much, but our goal is to make it just right. So we can measure 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And the same goes with liquids, like agave or vanilla. We want to measure the full measurements, not a scant measurement. So here is 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. By the way, here is one important tip. Do not measure spices, vanilla, or other flavoring directly above the bowl or blender. It's so easy to bump yourself and spill the vanilla or spice in the mixture that's already been mixed with other things, and the whole batch is ruined because you don't know what you've overmeasured. So you simply measure these things with, say, a teaspoon, for example, away from the bowl or blender. Then you turn and add it to the mix. When measuring sticky food, like molasses or agave, you'll notice that when you pour it into the bowl or blender, a good portion remains in the measuring cup or spoon, but you need all of it. This is when a small spatula is perfect. Take the spatula and scrape everything out in the measuring cup. Now, I told you we don't use the back of a knife to exactly measure, but here are some exceptions. You cannot measure cornstarch or similar things like arrowroot or tapioca starch because it makes a mess everywhere, and you still haven't measured it. So with cornstarch, you will overfill the measuring spoon. Then you take the back of a butter knife that is straight, not curved, and you run the knife across, and you will have a correct measurement. Some sets of measuring spoons come with a convenient measuring level, or you can buy a separate one, but you can use the back of a butter knife. You will get a recipe that uses brown sugar, and it's called packed brown sugar in recipes. Like we talked about freshly made oat flour that is light and airy, it must be packed down. So to pack brown sugar, all you do is fill the measure and you pack it. Making more room. And you fill it up more. Don't use super strength, just nicely packed. Now we've talked about this before, and we're going to talk measuring flour. But in this case, measuring is not the best way. You probably know the answer to this, but what is heavier, a pound of rocks or a pound of feathers? The answer is that they both weigh a pound, but a pound of feathers is a lot more volume than a pound of rocks. Think again of measuring the brown sugar, how it is much more lightly filled versus packing it in. When flour has sat in a warehouse in 50-pound bags, the flour is very packed and heavy. On the other hand, let's say you made some flour at home with a food mill. It's very light and airy. If you're going to get the same amount of flour, you've got to use a food scale. Using a kitchen scale will get you a precise measurement. As I said before, a scale is something that professional bakers won't do without. And you can buy these small scales for around $10 or Walmart or Amazon. These scales have different measures. So for example, it'll measure milk in milliliters. We're going to change that to unit. We'll hit the unit once and it goes to grams. We'll change it to, it hits pounds. Change it again, it'll change it into ounces, which you'll use a lot. But we're going to change it until it hits again the grams, okay? And then we'll hit tare. Now tare, we'll take it from numbers here, we're going to change it to 0. So it's 0. Now we're going to put a container on there. It can be something that has flour in it already, or it can be empty. 6.6 grams, but we'll hit the tare and it's down to 0. And that way you can measure, and you'll hit it until it hits 84. And there it went to 108, so we'll just go in a little bit. And there's 100 grams. There you have it. You're on your way to cooking correctly because you measured correctly. Thanks for watching our show once again. We hope you learned something. Every Monday and Thursday, we'll show you a new recipe. So come and check it out. Remember to hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon there and turn on all notifications. And do us a favor and give us a big thumbs up. I'm Jerome Amador. I'll see you at Country Life.